Hello everyone, I'm Hazbin Angel and welcome back to my channel. So this video is going to be a bit different than other ones I've done. I know I mentioned last video that I was going to be doing more fan art and OCs and stuff and shut up the phone like that this week just because those are easier for me to do than entire redesigns and concept arts. I may still do some concept arts of different personal stories and stuff like that, but expect more stuff like this. Would you cease and desist? Sorry, I'm talking to an inanimate object, like you do. Expect more stuff like this week, just because it's going to be easier for me to record a bunch of these in bulk, put audio over them, and set them on a schedule to be released this week so I can build up the regular content that I want to have. And occasionally I will do like fan arts like this where it's me doing a fan art, maybe including an OC. I mean, essentially all of what I do is fan art, but y'all know what I mean. Well, not all of what I do, majority of what I do. Redesigns are essentially fan art. So this is I know I've seen some people redesign the Hazbin hotel crew, and frog in my throat. I like the designs. I don't think there needs to be any changes personally. So instead, I drew a character I have been playing around with in my head while I've been stimming and walking back and forth in the kitchen. And working on. And this is kind of like the final iteration of this character. So it's Alastor, and then this character I've named Lottie. She actually went through a few name changes while figuring it out. Originally, she was just a self-insert, and her name was going to be Phoenix because she was going to be a peacock. And because I have a romantic crush on Alastor, I was shipping that character with them. Then I played around with the idea of maybe them being some sort of dog demon, and I actually still have the concepts of like the dog demon or the hellhound in general in one of my sketchbooks, because I want to do a little like TikTok challenge, which is originally gave me the idea. And then it's just like, then I thought of combining the dog demon and peacock demon idea I originally came up with, but I never really liked the look of it. The original peacock design. So then another animal I often will draw myself as or use as inspiration is a bunny. And so for a while I played with the bunny and the peacock idea, but I often, when I would draw or even just think about the character, would forget about that they had a peacock tail, because essentially from the waist up they were a bunny, and originally I was having them be a bunny because I liked the little floof that females bunnies have to make a nest, and I thought it'd be a cute character concept. And I always liked the peacock tail. I may still do that character design for like other Hazbin OCs and may create a little like Hazbin crew for myself that are unrelated to the actual show. But then she was just a bunny. And she essentially looks very similar to how she does now with the ears and everything, because I drew the bunny ears the same as deer ears. Really what changes is her color palette and me wanting to give her little freckles, because animated deer always have those like freckles, especially girls on them. Which is a long way to say she went from being a modern day character that was a peacock, who's like a complete self-insert, to a rabbit form of that character that was a self-insert, and even played with the idea of like, what if there is a character who is like half like a demon went to the human world, fell in love with a human, and they had a half demon, half human kid, and maybe the kid shows up in hell as an adult, or they die and they have some of the powers of a demon. Again, that's going back to the it may become an actual like Hazbin crew type character in the future. Yes, originally it was a self-insert, and the character was going to be a performer, and their name was Phoenix Salem. Then I played with the idea of, oh, maybe they actually knew Alastor, and had to play with the ideas of making that work in my head, because when I conceptualize a character, I actually don't draw them at first, I conceptualize them in my head. Like most people do, but like before I even start drawing the character, I like to conceptualize them a lot, and I would actually mid-sketch thought of making her a deer instead of a rabbit. Not gonna lie, I kind of liked the idea of, because essentially she was his, Lottie was his fiance slash wife, depending on which way I go. I'm thinking more of a fiance in a past life, because Viv has gone on record saying, oh, he didn't have somebody he was married to in a past life, so... But, yeah. So originally she was going to be his wife or fiance, and she was going to be a rabbit demon, because I liked the idea of them being married, and their potential, kid being a jackal, because a deer and a bunny. Again, that's a character concept. The jackal concept itself may come back later. But, yeah. And actually shifted her personality, because it went from, because I saw this, the comic's called Reunited, and it's basically Alastor's wife blames him for her ending up in hell, and I found it through a comic dub on YouTube. And I thought, oh, what if she was mad at him? It's just like, that kind of character's fun, but like, I want to do a comic of this character, and I don't want to reiterate what somebody else did. And an even more entertaining character concept, for me at least, is a character that only sees the good in Alastor. And I'm so glad that with animation, especially animations like this, you can make the hands basically blocks. You saw how much I struggled with Alastor's. But essentially, her and Alastor were fiancés in their past life. They were close to their wedding day, and they were living together and everything. And Alastor would actually like trick her into eating human flesh, because he would lie to her and say it was venison, which is in my OC verse the reason they're deer. That, and because I love Alastor's dad jokes that make me laugh way too hard, I decided she had a love for them. So they often will call each other dear and dearest, along with their actual names. Oh, I should mention the Jocko character was going to be their child, and they were going to be non-binary, and their name was, because before I found out that people were joking that Alastor's last name would start with an M, because AM is a type of radio, I had his last name being Salem. So their daughter or child, I always say daughter because most of my characters are more feminine, because I like drawing feminine characters, or I like drawing dapper characters. And it's easier to do that with females for me, because I had a lot more practice drawing females growing up. Their name was going to be Edom Salem, because I thought it would be funny if they were named after the literal Christian form of paradise, and one of the most cursed places that people consider in American history. I say one of because we don't talk about America's past on this channel, because it makes me depressed. Yeah. So, I even played with the name of her name being Eden Salem before marrying Alastor. But I kind of like the idea of the reason because I'm a self-indulgent shit, and I kind of ship Alastor and Charlie. Nothing wrong with the Angel and Alastor ship, because, like, when the voice actors interact on the Honeycast, I kind of ship it then, but I like the fan art for Alastor and Charlie better. In my Osea-verse, as I'm going to refer to it as, because there's nothing better to refer to it as, the reason he ends up helping Charlie is actually because A, she shares the name Charlotte with his almost wife, and B, she reminds him of her. Seeing the best in people and all that jazz. Even like the curly hair and stuff. I don't want to like spoil a bunch of stuff of her, because again, I do plan on posting a comic on either my Tumblr or my Twitter, and I'll let you know in another video once the comic's out where I posted it and have a link to it if you guys are interested. But again, the main differences between Charlie and this demon are height. This one's a lot more naive and above all is willing to believe Alastor. They both refer to him as Al when this demon girl doesn't. And she goes by Lottie. That's the nickname that specifically Alastor refers to her as. And how I refer to her. So you've got Al and Lottie. And they rarely refer to each other as like actual full names, so he rarely refers to her as Charlotte unless he is mad at her. And she rarely refers to him as Alastor unless she's scolding him. Also in my Osea-verse, because he is French, his last name is Monet, because it was the nicest sounding French last name with an M I could find. Yeah. So her full name, because I wanted to kind of include some of the like past ideas, her full name is Charlotte Eden Salem. and she was to be the future Charlotte Monet. To the point where, like, even their friends back when they were alive would call her, instead of Ms. Salem, they'd call her Mrs. Monet. And of course they called Alastor Mr. Monet. I basically used, with the exception of her freckles being a lighter form of her skin tone and her pearls as well, to make them look like a couple, I used Alastor's palette on her. And it's basically implied in this that in their past life he often chose how they both dressed and all that stuff. So even as a demon, her outfit has all the same colors in very similar places to his. So the bows that she wears matches his bow tie. Her dress is going to be that same darker red with the pinkish red accents, albeit a different type of accent. And her dress is based off of multiple dresses from the 50s I had found and liked that kind of mashed together. Because she lived a long life after Alastor, she just never married after he died, and she, even at her death, didn't believe he committed all the crimes despite what the authorities and science would say. She was blinded as love, so to say. But also this comes from the fact that, while in my OC-verse, Alastor genuinely loves her, and she loves him, he is also very manipulative. Like, they're a loving couple. In fact, she could, they're on a level because she has a very similar personality, because I'm a very similar personality when it comes to not wanting to be touched. She's on that same level of, oh, don't touch me unless I touch you, type of thing, by foot rule, stay back. They would both be considered ace, and she would even identify herself as ace, and basically she lived to be almost 100. So she lived through the 20s and stuff, and she was born in around the late 1910s, early 19aughts. And lived to the very beginning of her backstory. Is she died from the great virus that is ruining American society as a whole, since my country is not handling it correctly. Y'all know what I'm talking about if y'all know what I'm talking about, if y'all live here. But basically, she died by vow that shall not be named, or as the game gonna put it, the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. I love that joke so much. So stupid. Showed up in hell and, like, instantly Alastor's just like, okay, things are going to go back to how they used to be. And essentially, well, she can, like, tell Alastor, hey, don't do that, even I'm gonna have a running gag of, she actually believes in the, happy hotels ideals, that, like, a demon can be redeemed, and she She thinks that Alastor believes in that too. Hilarious, right? So she 100% is the, like, type of person that, like, if Hurley and Baggy told her, hey, this is basically rehab, Angel's supposed to avoid substance abuse, she'd be the first to, like, scold Husk and convince Alastor to, like, remove the bar. I was trying to, like, figure out a way to show Alastor's control over her, other than the swirls in her eyes. Because that's to show in that specific moment he's physically controlling her. But, yeah, she would 100% like scold him, beg Alastor to be like, oh honey, please, my dear, please, put a stop to this angel's healing. And Alastor, as long as it didn't affect him, would be like, of course, darling, you know how much I adore you. But very much, it's that same level of, if he really wants something to happen and it's technically against her moral code, she would easily be convinced by him because she believes he's doing the right thing. And he has always convinced her what he says and does is right. To the point where she believes that both of their being in hell is somehow her fault. When really it was because Alastor's kind of a dick. Kind of, I say. He actually has tricked her into killing a few of his victims and tricked her into cooking up many of them, convincing her the meat was venison. Originally I was using different symbols, and I was like, I have to make these as generic as possible, and they look a bit Japanese, but they're nondescript enough for me to be like, okay, these aren't referencing anything in specific, it's just me making lines. But yeah, he is very much the controlling influence in the couple, and he lets people believe she is more controlled than she does, but she's very much a, I almost did their shadows I was gonna do his, like, puppeteering hers. But as you can see, that didn't make it into the final drawing because I was getting tired and realized this was already going to be a long one. Well, that's all for me because my voice is starting to murder me. See you next time.